Okay, so before we start the interview, I just wanted to say that if you don't know already, She's Got Game has gone through a rebrand. We're now called The Real Spill. So I wanted to go through with this rebrand because in the beginning we started with female athletes, more specifically female basketball players. And living outside the US, I've got to meet so many pros, both women and men. So I felt like it was the right thing to do to expand my podcast beyond women's basketball. So The Real Spill is a podcast where we talk to not only exceptional athletes, but exceptional voices in other areas. In the pursuit of excellence in any area, you're bound to go through highs and lows, and my job for each of my guests is to find those out. More specifically, learn more in depth of their journey and how they got to where they are today. So yeah, this is going to be episode 1 of The Real Spill. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you enjoy.
And you're like, okay, like nobody can stop me, nobody can do this. Like, continue to always work on your game. Get a routine that you love, like whether if it's getting up in the morning and going for a run, or if it's you want to make a certain amount of shots a day, stretch, yoga, like anything. Like, I think getting a routine definitely will help you continue to aspire so you can get to these to this next level, I'd say.
Well, I'm glad you were able to join the podcast. So we're gonna take it from the top. So what initially got you started with basketball, and what were your earliest moments with the sport?
Yeah. So my dad and all of his brothers played sports growing up. I always just had, I don't know, like I think I've since like 2 years old I've been playing, or I've been watching it. I also had an uncle on my mom's side who was playing high school basketball at the time, and I remember going to his games and just, I don't know, just like the crowd, and like it was super crazy. Just like, I really didn't know everything what was going on, but like I just knew I was really interested in it. Like, I just liked the way like the crowd was very loud when shots would be going in. I liked how certain like teammates would like dunk the ball, or like just the energy and everything. Like, it really got me to it. So I just knew I wanted to play. Like, I know my parents had got me into it at a young age. I also had friends that were playing as well, and I also met friends playing like while I went through. So that's always just brought like that love and that joy to it since I was a
Mm-hmm.
younger. So probably like 2 years old, I'd say.
Okay, okay, that's good. And was there a point where you realized you wanted to take it seriously?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, ever since I was 9 or 10 years old, like I knew that this is what I wanted to do now. I wasn't always the best player at it, but I always knew that like this was something that I wanted to do like for a long time. Like, I've played other sports, I've done that, like other extracurricular activities, but like basketball always stood out to me, and it
Mm-hmm.
always made me feel the best. It always made me feel like I was like where I wanted to be. Like I said, I was never the best player, but I always knew that like this is something that I wanted to do. So probably like
Okay.
9 years old, I'd say.
Okay, okay. Yeah, talking to other pros too, it's the way you look at it. It's like a blessing to be able to play a sport for a living. That's like
No,
what you
hundred
do. You
percent.
just go train. So
No,
I think that's super good.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, so walk me through coming up, like your high school experience. What was that like?
Yeah, so I went to Ann Arbor Pioneer High School, which is in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I grew up in Ypsilanti, but I went to high school in Ann Arbor. It's across the street from the University of Michigan, if
hmm
you're familiar with it.
hmm
Um, my freshman year, like I had a different type of journey. Like, I played freshman and JV, like as freshmen and sophomores, but going into my junior year, there was a point in time where I was supposed to be on JV rather than be on varsity because I had missed a lot of games my JV year. I had a bone marrow transplant with my
hmm
sister. So it had me sit out for some games, and I got into like an altercation with a teammate. I had to miss some games as well. So I was supposed to be on JV instead of varsity my junior year of high school, so I could try to get like my reps and get my confidence up. But
hmm
like it was like me and like some other players. We were supposed to go like back and forth, but like my first game, I got to stay on varsity, and I had got into the game maybe in the fourth quarter with like 5 minutes left, and I got a couple buckets, and I had got like this real dunk that like electrified the crowd. So then they let me stay up on varsity again, And next thing I know, I was just up there the entire time, which kind of brought me my confidence for sure. Going into my senior year, that I played some travel basketball with the Michigan Warriors, going into it and with like some real high level players, and being in practice with them helped me get my skills up. So when I went into my senior year, I ended up starting and playing with some of my teammates that were also good as well. So like maybe I started a few games my freshman year of high school, but outside of that, I was kind of either a guy that was coming off the bench or really just like a bench warmer, just to go into like my senior year of starting at like the power forward center. Now I was the tallest, so like that definitely did help out, but I felt like I did improve and got better, and it definitely shows. Like I know I won most improved player either my junior year, for sure my senior year. So like that kind of showed that other people saw that I was improving and I was getting better, and like that made me feel good as well because like I felt like I was putting a lot of work, and sometimes like I felt like it went unnoticed. But like to get
Mm-hmm.
awards like that, and for other people to see that going into my senior high school of like, man, like Tevis, you came like a long way. That definitely gave me the confidence to know that like other people saw the work that I was putting in, and then that also like let me know that I can continue to improve to get on to the next level. So
That's good. And so that kind of goes into like the mindset. Do you think like perseverance and like the way you thought kind of like helped you get to the point that you are now and even just throughout high
yeah,
school in general?
yeah, for sure. I mean, what I know now, back from what I didn't know, like basketball isn't just about physical skills. It's always like I would say it's at least 60 to 70% of your mental skill as well. Like having to be tough, knowing like having the confidence of like when to be shooting certain shots, just knowing like you have the ability. Like there's a lot of people who they practice and they train a lot, but then they get into games and they don't perform or they don't produce the exact same way. So it's like you have to be able to have the ability to believe in yourself for one, but it also helps out if other people do believe in you as well.
Hmm.
But it's like, what do you do when nobody like believes in you? Like if you don't
Right.
see it, or like that definitely helps out for sure. It's like that having that perseverance and that confidence and that the ability definitely helps out for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So with that being said, how did that translate or like how was your experience going to college? Like how was recruiting and then how was it like whenever you got there?
Yeah, so I really like the first school I ever heard from was a D2 in Michigan, my sophomore year of high school. Um, but it was just more of like I was more of trying to get recruited. I was just reaching out to schools. So I had heard
Mhm.
back from a Division 2 school, and once I had heard back, and they basically were just saying like, hey, this is how we do recruiting. That kind of gave me like my first taste of like, okay, like this is what I need to be doing. So but after like really only like the only like the top players really start getting recruited like at maybe like your sophomore year or junior year. So maybe when you're like 15, 16, 17 years old. I
Mhm.
really didn't start getting coaches in schools that I didn't reach out to first, but they would reach out to me. That was probably going into my senior year. I had some D3 schools. Like I had a real nice D3 school in Illinois. I had some NAIA schools in the Midwest. Some other D3 schools just around like let's see, like Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin. But basically they would just reach out to me, just saying, they liked my game. They would start coming down to my games. Like they would be talking to my parents after, and I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they still do it now, but like when you're not like a big player, I think that they do it a little bit different. Like I think if you're like a nationally recruited player, they kind of just like the head coach will come see you, but they kind of just send you that offer, and then like they don't really like maybe have like a big recruit pitch. Like the smaller schools, they would come down, they would talk to my parents. They would talk to me after the game. They would call me after like my games or like before I go to practice. Just explaining like what they liked about my game and how they saw me going through, like what they wanted me to work on. And they kind of just wanted to know more about myself, like outside of the basketball court, which definitely did appreciate because, sometimes when you are playing basketball, especially being a professional today, some people, they only care about you on the court and not off the court. So going
Mhm.
into it, from high school going into college, it definitely helped out just knowing that like some people would definitely care because it is a big step going from high school going into college. So just knowing that there are some schools that actually care about that, especially those smaller schools and being a smaller player.
Okay, right. What was that transition of like playing, like the intensity or the competition? What was that transition overall like?
Yeah, so my first 2 years, I went to junior college or a community college, Kalamazoo Valley Community College. It's definitely different than what I thought it was gonna be, but what you don't really realize is a lot of junior colleges are made up of these top high level athletes who either don't have the grades to get into these top schools, or there could be some guys who really didn't get enough looks, but they want to develop. So it's like a big mixture in between.
Mm,
And I'm kind of thinking because, junior colleges are 2 year schools. So you're like freshman or sophomore. So I'm like, okay, like these guys won't be that much better because they're only 1 to 2 years outside of school. But there's also players who may have sat out for a few years outside of high school. And then they coming in, they might be like 22, 23 years old, being like a
right.
freshman. Like, yo, like these guys are like older. They got more experience. They're faster, more athletic. Like it was really eye-opening to me. Now, I was very fortunate enough for my first year that our starting five, like I want to say all of them either had Division 1 or Division 2 looks, like coming out of high school. So like they were all like just dominant players. So like I just remember being in those practices, just getting torched, like just knowing like, oh
Mm,
man, like even though like these guys are like, they're sophomores, but they're maybe like 1 or 2 years older than me. But these guys like were so far ahead. Like the power forward position and center position was in between Javante Hughes and Jalen Larry. And those guys, like I'm just thinking back to it now, like just trying to like learn like how they were playing to like I'm like, man, if I could just do like maybe like just half of what they do. Like, but not just their physical skill, but they had like the mental ability of just knowing like, hey, like I'm gonna take this shot, or like, hey, I'm gonna dunk on you, I'm gonna get this block, I'm gonna, like the point guards, like I want to say 1 through 10, all of my players 1 through 10, all were very good. Um, but yeah, we had dang, I think we only lost 5 games my freshman year,
mm.
and but like every single school we played against was almost like a good battle. Especially our conference had a lot of good players, so it's definitely a big transition. And like a lot of people take junior college kind of lightly because they're like, oh, it's not Division 1, it's not Division 2, but like it's made up of all these guys, and you really are just getting like a big like pot of like just different types of talent. And sometimes it works out for teams, sometimes it doesn't. But like it's crazy. It's actually crazy because my junior college, they just made it to the Final Four this year, which is
Oh,
like
wow.
very big. So um that just shows like the elite level of talent that is around there. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So do you think that's like a common misconception, like between divisions? Because I feel like at least I'm about to be in my senior year, and with recruiting, like people kind of associate the division with the skill level. Do you think that's like a common misconception that people go through?
yeah, yeah, I think there is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like Division 1 is definitely like a high level of
Mm,
basketball with high level athletes, but like there are some like true dogs, some true killers at the D3 NAIA level. Like after I went JUCO, I played NAIA, and my school not only just had 4 year players that were coming up that got better, there were also Division 1, Division 2 transfers. So like there's like I can't even explain like the number of players, even like to this day, that like I play against, and like you never really know like where a guy comes from. Like I've definitely been on the court with some high level Division 1 guys, and like they ask me, hey, like where you from? Like where you played at? I'm like, oh, like I played at this school. They're like, oh, what's that D1? I'm like, nah, NAIA. They're like, what? But like they understand now, like it's not really one of those things of like I just think the major difference is like the funding and the scholarships, like the bigger
right.
like the bigger schools, but like there are some smaller D2 schools, some NAIA schools that they run their program just as well as a Division 1 school. Now, Would they be able to compete in the conference the entire time? I don't think so. But like I think, if they run into it, different types of exhibition games, like I've seen some, like there was a D2 NAIA school that took down a couple mid-major D1s when I was my senior year. I've definitely seen that in my conference. So that just shows that like there are some true players, that definitely come out of these levels. So don't be misconstrued. Like I would say, like if you hear from like a D3 school, like if you can have like now the difference with it is really just the scholarships. Like some D or a lot of D3 schools aren't allowed to give athletic funding. So like that's really the biggest thing of why they don't really get a lot of big players. But some of the IA schools can give full rides, so like don't be misconcepted and think that like it's sweet out there because there's some people there, that they have that chip on their shoulder that, they think the same exact thing of like, oh, people think I'm not good because I didn't go D1 or I didn't go D2 and and they'll show it, so
Right. Yeah, and I think it's gonna be at a different level now that they have the rule where you can go to junior college and you like keep your eligibility and stuff like that.
yeah,
So I
for
feel
sure,
like it's
man,
gonna skyrocket.
for sure. No, it's crazy. I was over thinking about that as well. Like if I had that going into when I was coming out, like that would have been a game changer. But no, it's fortunate.
Right, right. So walk me through the process of you kind of signing your first pro contract and how you kind of got to that level.
Yeah. So, my senior year of college, um, I really didn't know the exact route on how to go overseas. I know I wanted to do it, but I didn't know the exact way to go. But my senior year of college, my coach had started getting some emails from some different types of combines and agents that were like doing camps that wanted to like evaluate players. So I went to like a pro combine. It was for some jobs in South and Central America. I had got my first contract to play, or my first offer to play was going into Peru, but I still didn't graduate yet, so I didn't take it because I wouldn't have been able to walk, and like I wanted to take it, but like my mom wouldn't let me go.
Mm.
But it was like off of like the first time that like I went to a combine. So she's like, well, if you can get a contract off your first time, then you can sure get one like if you go to another one. But I'm like, okay. So um I think after that, maybe I had gotten in touch with some people. I had went out to Vegas during the summertime in like July, the same week as NBA Summer League, because there's a lot of agents and coaches out there around that time. And I just played in front of some people, stayed in touch, connected with some people, which was a big thing. And I think somebody had sent my stuff over to there's an agency that does some things over in the UK, and my first experience was definitely a unique experience because it wasn't just a professional contract, but they do it more in terms of getting you into a university over there,
Oh.
and they have like ties with professional clubs. So like basically it's like you're going over there to play college again, but you can look at what clubs have or what universities have ties with certain clubs. So I had got one from Nottingham Trent University, and they were tied into with the Nottingham Hoods, which plays in the NBL in UK. So I was able to go through the university and I was playing there, but I was also playing for the club and then just basically just doing both, which kind of gave me a 2-in-1, which it was definitely good, I would say, for my first year because it got me more into shape. And I was 22 at the time, so I was still able to get like the professional experience there, but also going through the university because it's like I am showing these guys at the university level like on what they need to be because it's kind of like I'm a super senior, but then I'm turning around and I'm going to this professional club with these guys that have played for years already, and I'm learning from them. So it was a good experience overall, I'd say.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So what was like the transition like? Like what was it like adapting? Because a lot of people don't go outside of the US and stuff like that, just on a traveling kind of thing. So what was it like adapting, to the culture, both on and off the court, like the playing style? How was that?
Yeah, I mean it was different, like you said, a lot of people, or especially Americans, like we're kind of just cool being in America because there's a lot going on over there. But like the world is so big, so and I really
Right.
didn't know. I didn't really didn't realize that until I got into England. And I was just thinking like it wouldn't be a big culture shock because I'm like, okay, well, everybody speaks English, but like they have a different type of slang, a different type of language on like how they speak, just outside of with the accents, but like just certain words that like go over my head. I'm like, I don't even know what this person just said. Um, they drove on the opposite side of the road. The food was different. The culture and everything was different as well. Playing style was way more physical. Like they kind of let you get away with some things, but like you definitely got to get into the weight room to be able to hold your own because these are like grown men that have like grown men strength out there. Like you can go in the lane and try to dunk on somebody, but like some of those guys take it offensive and they have no problem with like putting their elbow into your chest while you're trying to go up.
Oh,
Um, so it took some adjusting. Like I think that kind of got me more into just getting like into like my jump shots, but also just like getting into the weight room more to just be able to get physical as well. Um, like as a professional, like it's not just about who's going out there trying to score the most. You got to play defense because there's guys like there's some local guys that definitely can hold their own as well. Like you'll play like we play against some teams that wouldn't have like an import, but they would be able to stay in the same type of competition as us and be able to give us a run for our money as well. So it was a lot just adjusting. I mean, I was fortunate enough that we won a lot of games, but like it was tough, like going into like practices and the winter times. It was super cold, and just being away from home, like no family around. Like the team did their best, and I felt like they were more of becoming more of my family as well. But it's different, like the immediate family, home cooked meals, missing the holidays and things like that. So
right. Right, right. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Even being here, like I'm technically boarding school, so and I'm playing, so I think I'm kind of just getting that experience, what it would be like in college and even going overseas and stuff like that. So I feel like I can see what you're saying even now, just in high school, experiencing that kind of stuff. So,
yeah,
yeah, so let's get into like the training aspect of things. I know you said like even in high school, it's constantly, well, in sports in general, you want to get better. There's always like another level to be at. So did you train a lot growing up and how did your like resume train like change as you got to like college and then like to the pros?
yeah. So I mean, I'm a little bit different than a lot of kids. Like I probably only had like real training like for like a few years. Other than that, it was really just playing a lot of basketball. Like I played outside or inside, like like these open gym and these open runs. Like I just played a lot. Like over the summertime or after school, like if there was an open gym and like my friends were there, like I just wanted to be there. Like I didn't do like you see all like of the training aspects now. Like how it is. Like I really like one, I didn't have like the money for it, and two, I really didn't know too much about it. I felt like just me, just like, okay, if I just play against these guys, if I know that there's some good guys at this open gym or at this run, I can hold my own, I can be able to do it. So I was just playing a lot of basketball. When I started playing travel basketball, maybe my sophomore year of high school, that's when we got more into the okay, this is what we're gonna be working on, like the skill work, like outside of like the high school things of like your, the personal one-on-one individual development. So when I got through that through high school and then going into my junior college, I know my coach had gave us like a binder of like what you need to be worked on in the summertime because you have to have we would have to have a 2 mile time. You'd have to be able to jump rope for 6 minutes, and then you had to be able to do 50 straight push-ups before you could even be on the team. And so it was like a test. Like these were things that we had to work on over the summertime, along with like he would show us like the weightlifting program and what he wanted us to be able to do and like what position you're playing, so like how much weight you should be able to lift at this time and your time for how long you take for your 2 miles. So it wasn't just like because you could be like the best basketball player, but if you're not in shape, then it wouldn't work out. Like he had a philosophy on I can't remember what it was, but it was like a full game is like running 2 miles. So like even though like it's stopping and starting, like but he was like the average athlete like runs this amount of miles like during a full basketball game. So he was very big on like us like having this 2 mile time. Like I remember my first practice, like a first official practice, only there were only five of us because nobody else like was finishing like all of their tests. So
Mm.
um just knowing like once I was able to pick that up though, and just like being able to just like fall in love with the weight room and being able to like get better, then I started seeing other coaches and other trainers that wanted to work with me to work on my game. That definitely helped me out and give me more game that I can be able to give back to other players, but also still to this day, because like there's no such thing as being perfect. You can continue to get better, like no matter what. You could be the best ability to yourself, but you can always like get to that next level. So that's, as long as you're, comfortable with being able to chase that and just knowing that, I think it definitely helps out for sure.
Right, right. That's good. Yeah. I think like that's good. Like even a question for me, like just because I train so much, and now that my dad's a trainer, we've been able to work together a little bit. But like being here, I got a empty gym, but I'm just kind of like by myself, just like trying to figure out what to do, when to do it, how often to do it, and stuff like that, and just taking advantage of the stuff that I have now. And
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying. Like finding open runs is really like beneficial. Like there's a training aspect, but I feel like one, the best cardio you can do is playing, whether it's full court, half court, whatever that is, and then you're just able to work on your skills in real time. So I think that's really good
Yeah, for sure.
for sure. Yep. So how were you able to adapt to like once going overseas? Because I know you've played in so many different countries, and even I was experiencing this season. Like, how are you able to adapt to the different playing styles while still playing like your game?
Yeah. I mean, different countries require different things. Like there's certain countries where like coming in being that, as you're an import, you are like the reinforcements. And some of them have different things they want you to do. Like I've been on some teams where they're just like, hey, we want you to be able to box out, rebound, and like give us, extra possessions. Like during this time, I had teams where they'd be like, hey, we're gonna give you the ball and get out the way. If you're not shooting this basketball or you're not touching this basketball within the possession, like we're gonna lose. So it's just like one, trying to communicate with the team and like seeing what they want, because sometimes they're not very vocal about it. They kind of just want you to figure it out, but you kind of see like how your teammates play and act, how your coaching are, how the league is ran. Like you look at the other imports on what they're doing as well. I mean, some teams have different roles, but like just adapting to it is like you have to do it really fast. Like there's not really no time for error. Like you can come in and you can be thinking like, oh, okay, like we have 40 games this season, so like I have some time to get through. But like if you're not producing or you're not doing what they want you to do, like they'll cut you, pretty quick. And because like they're looking to win like immediately, like some teams don't take time. Some countries are more vulgar or more cutthroat than others. Like I've seen guys get cut after one game after they've gotten player of the game or being like a leading scorer, but it's like, yeah, that's not going to be enough because like they may know that there's a team down the road that they're like, okay, we don't think this person can do that. So it's like just like trying to stay mentally tough as well, because that like there is a possibility of like you can get sent home or like somebody may not like you or getting into it with certain teammates. Like it's a lot of different things that it boils down to, but it's just like knowing like if you can be where your feet are, like you're like, hey, like this is the opportunity, like somebody's putting me in this position, somebody believes in me right now at this moment that I can get the job done. And with your skill set and the work that you put in, if you can get over that hump, which and it's not always easy of thinking it, but believing it as well. So
Right, right. Yeah, I definitely can see that, especially like now with my dad owning the team in Costa Rica. Like just being there, at least last season, I was there for the whole duration of the season. You see guys get cut. You see like the things behind it. Sometimes it's not even stuff they do on the court. Sometimes it's just like the kind of person they are and stuff like that. So you can definitely see and how the mental part plays with it. Like it's way more than just actually playing, as well as it being actually playing.
yeah, and I learned that as well. Like I started to see it. Like I feel like I guess like for me myself, I feel like I am like a good person or a nice person, and some people do see that, and I think that definitely goes a long way as well because, like, if let's say like I wasn't a nice person and I wasn't getting the job done, then it's like, okay, this person is not getting the job done on the court. And also he's like very mean and not easy to get along with off the court. That doesn't want teams, there are some teams don't want you to be around them, or even if you are good enough and you do get the job done, they may not want you to come back. Like I've seen players that could be like top two, top three in scoring or top three in like MVP, but like the team don't want them to come back that next year, or like, because word does travel fast. Like the world is big, but I feel like in sports and everything in general, especially in basketball, I feel like it is a small world. Like words travel fast. People see film. Like it doesn't take too much of somebody of watching, like on the outside looking in, I could be playing against your team and I'm playing very good. And then the next year, your team is like, okay, I want to bring this person in. But then they ask, somebody on your team and they're like, oh, like this person is like a
Mhm.
headache. Like everything that we have to get done, like it's not even worth it. So that definitely goes a long way as well. Just off of the court, being a nice person, I think in general. And you can't fake being a nice person at all or being a good person, I'd say. It's definitely in like your character. So
Yeah, for sure. Again, I definitely see that being behind the scenes in the first division like area. I definitely see like word for word like what you're saying. Like people behind the scenes could be so like different from their ability. They could be like super skilled, but it plays a part. They're recruiting you as a person, not only as a player, so to represent the
yeah, for sure.
team. Yeah.
100%.
So for you, what like during your career as a whole, what kind of adversity have you faced? Because in sports, that's sports. You're gonna face stuff. And again, like we talked about, perseverance is super important in the mental part in general. So, what kind of adversity has you faced in your career, and how are you able to overcome it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I face overall all the time is just being away from home. Like I think we definitely take that for granted. Like just being away from my family, um, missing out on holidays, like, the traditional Thanksgiving, Christmas, different things like that. Like I have like baby cousins and baby nephews that are like getting older, and like I try to talk to them on the phone, and like sometimes they may not remember my name, and these are like, vital moments at the time where like I know eventually I'll be able to come home and like try to catch up on these memories, but sometimes you don't get that. Like my grandparents are getting older, different events are happening at home, and like I'm overseas, like I'm trying to get my job done, but I'm also trying to like keep up with them. The time changes are always play a mental part. Like right now I'm here in Australia. I think I'm like 16 hours ahead, so I'm like literally a day ahead. Like right now it's, what is it? It is 11 a.m., but it's about to be 8 p.m. over there, like the day before. So it's like
Right.
it really is a lot, where I'm looking at it, but it's just one of those jobs of just knowing like, hey, like, nobody made me do this, like this is a dream that I've always wanted to do. Um, Nobody said that chasing your dreams is easy, but it's just knowing that, trying to just stay within the moment, but just knowing like in the back of my mind, like, man, I am missing out on a lot of things, like, little birthday parties, or like, my friends going through like graduations or different life milestones, and it's just like, yeah, I'm over here just playing basketball. And like some people are just like, man, like that is crazy. Like, I don't know how you do it, but it's like, especially as athletes, like we don't talk about, I mean, I think we talk about it a little bit more. It's more recognizable now, but like just the mental struggles of being so far away from home. Like I said again, like we take it for granted of being home for holidays. Like I haven't been home for Christmas in like a certain amount of years. It's been like 4 years, I want to say, and I can't just like fly home during the time. Like, because if the team's not covering it, or we do have some games, like that's money within itself. Now you can try to negotiate it, like if you're playing at a high level, like like these Euro leagues, or teams that have like the budget. But sometimes, or majority of the time, some teams don't have the budget, or they'll tell you like, you need to pay for it out of your pocket. So it's definitely easier said than done. But yeah, I'd say that's the biggest challenge.
Okay. Yeah, so with that being said, what do you think is one lesson that playing overseas has taught you?
It's definitely taught me, one, to just be where my feet are, like not really worrying about what the next person is doing or like what my next move should be or what somebody's thinking about me. It's definitely got my mental toughness up. I would almost say it's a little bit crazy, but I'm so comfortable with being by myself because I do spend a lot of time by myself just thinking and, walking around. Like right now I'm in a country that speaks English, so I'm able to talk to other people. But like being over in Asia and some places where they don't speak English at all, I'm kind of just like stuck with being by myself. So like super comfortable. Like one weird habit that I've definitely developed, like I'm very comfortable with going to the movies by myself. Like I feel like it's a little bit weird, but like I don't have a problem with like calling my friend and like, hey, like I'm trying to go to this movie at 8 p.m. You want to go? Like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, all right, no worries. And then they call me the next day, like, hey, like I'm free today if you want to go to. I'm like, oh, I went to go see it. Like, oh, who'd you go see the movie with? I'm like, oh, I went by myself. They're like, what? Like, so it's I think it's like some people may look at it like, oh, that's sad. Like you got at the movies by yourself while like there's other people around you, like their families and things. But like I've just adjusted to it on just like getting in the car, just going by myself. I think it's just more of one of the things that it's actually became like a peaceful thing that I definitely enjoy doing of like going to the movies by myself. But like you do spend a lot of times on your own when you're overseas. That definitely has developed certain things. So like I don't have a problem with like um you know I like being around people, but at the same time I don't have a problem like if people are busy, like I can go do something by myself like when I'm at home or like anywhere I'm at. So
Yeah, I definitely am the same way, especially being here. Like I have roommates and stuff like that, but they don't play sports. They're like leave on the weekend. So it's like even the training part, like I'm just in the campus. I just go to the gym in my free time and it's just like
yeah.
nothing else to do. But it makes me a better player and it makes me have more time to, get knowledge, like stuff like this and just try to be the best player I can be in different ways other than physically training. So I can definitely see that. We're gonna end the interview off with just 5 quick questions. So the first question is, what is your go-to pregame song?
Ooh, right now, right now probably Atlantic Stars Send for Me. It's a old song. Like it's not
Okay.
a yeah, it's not like a rap song or anything like that. It's like one of them like old '90s. It just gets me in that mood right now. But yeah, Atlantic Star, Send for Me.
Okay, I'm gonna have to give it a listen. I never heard of it. I might have to
Okay.
pregame to it. I might drop a
Nah,
30
it's
piece or
it's not
something.
it's not gonna be your style. It's not one of them like hype songs. It's like a old school super slow song. I don't know. I warm up a little bit different. Like I definitely have like some hype music on my playlist, but just
Uh,
sometimes just trying to get more like calming. I'd say like it definitely gets me. I think I play better like that.
okay, yeah, for sure. So I know you've played in a lot of different countries, a lot of different basketball environments. What has been your favorite environment to play in?
Ooh, my favorite. Dang. I don't know. It would probably be either in the Philippines this past year, or in Limon, Costa Rica, I'd say. Um, just not just with basketball. I think in general, like I do better with not being like I don't know. I kind of like that home field type of vibe. I think in Limon is definitely not like the biggest city, so it gives me more of like that home type of feel. But even the way on how it was set up, like I was living on the beach. I was able to eat 3 times a day, like some good food with also like we had some other like catering meals as well. Dang, it just I don't know. It was just it felt like love for me, like really. And like at the time when I was playing with I played with Fred Sims at the time. He's
Mhm.
with Punta Arenas now out there, and then he left early, and then I was playing with Pancho, who's been with Limon for a second, but with everybody on how Coach Jake had it set up, man, like that was definitely one of like the best setups for sure. Like being able to be taken care of to the routine that we were able to get like as players, like the morning workouts with the weightlifting, and I can just go run on the beach. I can get some food. I can chill. I liked how I was able to walk around, and everybody, were friendly. Even like they knew that I wasn't from there, but they also like they were always being friendly. And they spoke some English as well, outside of Spanish. So that was definitely I would say, yeah, I'd say that was my favorite over the Philippines. But at first I was saying it might be a tie, but thinking back at it now, I think Limon, Costa Rica was definitely number one.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, Limona is a beautiful place. It's like one of my dad's favorite places to go, like as a
Yeah,
vacation and stuff. It's not too
yeah, I
far.
remember we had talked about it a few years ago when I had worked out with him. He was talking about Limon. So like I had no idea about Limon. Like when, especially in America, when people think Costa Rica, we just think about San Jose, but there's so many beautiful places. Like even my first year playing in Carthago and like just being out in that area, like just being up in the mountains, like that was beautiful as well. Like I definitely loved it. Just being around in San Jose or Guanacaste, Punta Arenas, all great places just in Costa Rica in general. But I would definitely say like the best type of environment for sure was Limoni. Even like the crowd. Oh my God. I
Hmm.
don't even know why I didn't even say that. Like we definitely had the best crowd coming out as well. Like they were like they brought like that intensity, like they loved it. I just remember like anytime I get a dunk, just woo, like you could just hear it, and they just loved it. Like that definitely gave me like that satisfaction. I definitely loved like playing in front of that crowd for sure. Like there's a lot of crowds that I've played in front of, but like I've played in bigger crowds with more fans and things like that. But like that Limon crowd was definitely one for
Hmm.
the books, I'd say.
Yeah, and I feel like in Limon, it's a lot of us too. Like
Yeah,
they're Costa
yeah.
Rican, a lot
That's
of them
the
don't speak Spanish, but it's still like a lot of us. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying about like that home field, like it's
Uh-huh.
not really like, you get into some countries where like you definitely stand out of like being the American import or just like being black in general or just not even just being an American, but like being, just me being tall, so I definitely stand out. But like Limon is kind of just like they make you feel like you at home, so or I felt like I was at home, so
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So the next question is, what is your favorite shoe to play in?
either Kobe 8 or KD 15. Um I used to always just be the guy that like I think I was always with hyper dunks growing up in high school, or
Mm,
like I think I wore some Adidas for a bit. When I got to my school at Johnson and Wells, we were a Adidas school, so like I was wearing like I had some D Roses or I had like the Air Wiggins or something like that. This is before like Hardens even came out, or I think I wanted some Dames, but like once I once I finished with college, I had a teammate who was playing these Kobe 10s and he was getting some new shoes that, oh, if you want to wear these for the summer, I was like, yeah, let me get these. And like I went down to a combine and I was killing it. I'm like, man, like I was never into like the low top shoe. Like, like I was always old school, like, oh, I need a high top shoe to like take care of my ankles. But like once I started playing the low tops like that, that opened up my I think it really like opened my eyes more on like, man, I should have been doing this like a long time ago. So the Kobe 8 was definitely the go-to for the longest. They just re-released them like with the Pro Tros, but um right now I'm playing in the KD 15s, but I think Kevin Durant always has a good shoe as well for players. It's not I don't know, they're not heavy at all. They definitely take care of my feet and they feel super comfortable, and that's what I'm about. So
yeah, for sure. I'm the same way. I got the KD 15 and still playing in them now, so I can see what you're saying. They're like a
Oh,
perfect shoe.
so you already know, yeah. Like even
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're on like KD 18 now, but like if I see some KD 15s, like I'm definitely trying to like buy them just so like once like I already like I got two pairs right here. Like if one runs out, I got another one already ready to go, and then hopefully I can find another pair for if I'm playing next season. So
That's good. That's what's up. So the next question is, I want you to describe your game in just 3 words.
my game, um, I would say inclusive. Mm, I would say mid range, and I would say leadership. I think that would be my three. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, those are good attributes to have. All right. So final question. What is some advice you would give someone who aspires to be in the position that you are in today?
yeah. The the main thing in general is just always knowing that you could be anywhere in the world, but where you are right now is where you're meant to be at. There may be times where you feel like you don't like you maybe you feel like you're not supposed to be there, but you are supposed to be there. Like it could be in like a situation that you don't like, um, but it's just like that may be challenging you. Like I'm like, I believe in God, I believe in Jesus. So like I feel like if there's any type of situation that I've been in and I didn't want to be there, I feel like it's more like a test for to be able like to learn something. Cause like I can look back at it, like there's definitely been times where I felt like I wasn't supposed to be in a certain place, but like looking back at it, I'm like, okay, like look how I prevailed, look how I got through those tough times, and it definitely helped me out. So I would definitely say for anybody aspiring, just be where your feet are, continue to put in the work. Don't worry about what other people think about you. Um, just keep your head down, and consistency is the name of the game. You can put in a lot of work one day and not get the results that you want. But if you continue to just, chop it down like brick by brick, like continue to just go, like I think Kyrie Irving like says it's not, it's an old traditional thing, but the chop wood carry water,
Mm-hmm.
just continuing to work until like you get to the consistent level. Like I would say that's the name of the game for sure. Not just with basketball, but just in life, like you're trying to get somewhere overseas and trying to be a professional, like it's not easy. We may make it look easy, but it's not the easiest thing. Like there's so many teams around the world, but there's way like so many other players that want to be in the position that you're in. So take pride in knowing that like you can get here, but also know that there's a lot of people that want to be in this spot. Like I'm about to be 30 years old. I've been doing this for like 7 years, but there's always people coming out of college. They're younger. They're able to they could jump higher. They're more fresh. They can run faster. They don't have the back pain or the knee pain that we have getting older. So just knowing that like you always have to be able to put that work in. It's a mental game for sure. But yeah, just all in all, just be where your feet are and always be able to put in that work. Don't get complacent or plateau. Like that can be the worst thing that you can do. You can feel like you're the best player coming out and you're like, okay, like nobody can stop me, nobody can do this. Like continue to always work on your game. Get a routine that you love, like whether if it's getting up in the morning and going for a run, or if it's you want to make a certain amount of shots a day, stretch, yoga, like anything. Like I think getting a routine definitely will help you continue to aspire so you can get to these to this next level, I'd say.
Okay, definitely. I'm even gonna take that for myself. I appreciate that advice, and I appreciate you coming on the podcast. That's it for
No,
today.
yeah, thank you for having me. I definitely appreciate you thinking about me, and having me on here is definitely, great. I hope that you continue to do great things, like, not just on the court, but off the court. I know you said that like you have some people that you live with that don't play basketball. I'll definitely encourage you to try to see if you can get out the house with them and see like what they get into. I think that's a very important thing as well. Like basketball has got you to where you are right now. But don't just think about it on like the basketball aspect. See if there's other things that you can see, just to get you a different type of perspective of just like, because there's somebody else that's around you, right? But they're not doing what you do, but they're still in the same area as you. So like just try to get their perspective on like what got them to there, and that kind of can open up your eyes more, and just seeing on like, okay, like just I don't know, it's like after like you I think you'll definitely appreciate it more after you leave from there, where you're like, wow, like I was here in Florida at that time, but like there's people that I stay with that don't play basketball, but like I don't know like what your roommates or anything what they do, but it's like I was able to see like what they were able to do, and like what they do in their life. That definitely gives you a different perspective on life for sure. So I would definitely encourage you to do that as well. Like when you're not like in the gym or doing anything, I'd say. Of
Okay, for sure. I'm definitely gonna use that. I appreciate that.
course.
I'll keep in touch, keep hooping. I'm gonna keep following the gram and seeing everything you're doing. And again, I appreciate you joining.
No, of course. Thank you for having me again, Zori. I hope you have a good day.
All right, you too.
All right, see you.